go to File, the drop down. 3 down is Browse in Bridge. Now I clearly have it open. It's on my desktop here if you take a look. See, there's my desktop if I close it. There's my computer, there's my desktop. I know it's on my desktop. It's alphabetical, so I'll go down to Lesson 13, but I'm going to right click on it and say Add to Favorites. So now when I come back in, it'll be there. There's a few other things there of lessons I've done. We can take a look at what our end product is going to be, so I'm going to double click that for one moment. Notice they gave us a lot of grid lines for where everything goes. In real life, you're going to have to do that yourself. Next, we're going to close this and browse in Bridge again and open Start. Double click. Looks almost the same, except we're going to add the bottom banner to these buttons, and we're going to add these other 4 buttons. So let's get started. We're going to use layer groups to create buttons. So the first button, first they want you to go to Edit Preferences, Units, Rulers, which you can do. See, I've already got this in pixels. You can also right click in the ruler. I'm going to put it back to inches because that's what it was. If you don't see your ruler, go under View. If rulers is check marked, it's up. If you click it, it goes away. There's also a keyboard shortcut, Command R because I'm on a Mac, Control R if you're on a PC. The way they tell you to do it is go under, go to Preferences. Preferences is under the word Photoshop on a Mac. It's under Edit on a PC. So you're going to go all the way down to the bottom of Edit and you'll see Preferences. And then Units and Units and Rulers, here it is. Rulers, it says inches. They want you to have pixels. See how it changes on the spot. So there it's changed. I was just showing you a quick way. Right click in here. I can change it to picas. I can change it to inches. This is PC or Mac. Pixels. They want us to be with pixels. The other thing I like to do is right up here in the upper left corner. You click, hold your mouse button, drag. See this crosshair? I like to make sure that it's zeroed out at the top left corner so that everything is measured properly. So the other thing they want us to do is turn snapping off, which I have a feeling might be done. It's under View. See where it says Snap? Now snapping's on. It means it snaps to the guides. On some computers you can really feel it. On others it's a little more subtle, but it's a good idea. So we're turning the snap off. So just unclick it, and when you go and look at it, see there's no check mark. It's a toggle on and off is pretty much what it is. So we've got that done. Now we want the info panel up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reset Essentials here. Let's see if it, there we go. So we start clean like it is if you just start new. And under Window, we want the info panel. There it is. And I think it popped out of here, so I'm going to drag the window so that we can see the window panel. I'm also going to drag layers out here. For right now, I'm going to make them large thumbnails. I just right click. The way I did that is I right clicked in this blank area, large thumbnails. I may not have room for large thumbnails later, but I do now. So there is what they give us for our starting point. What we're going to do is we're going to pull a guide, a horizontal guide from the top ruler, and we're going to watch over here in the info panel the Y coordinate. That's what we're going to base the guide's position on. And the Y coordinate should be 795 pixels. So let's do that. I think sometimes when you're zoomed in, back to my move tool so I can get that double arrow like thing. Well, it says 795, doesn't it? So I'm there. All right. I'll go with that. After we get a guide in at $7.95, we're going to draw a rectangular marquee, and we're also going to need a new layer. So let's see, at what point, here, I'm going to go to the Marquee Tool and click on the corner here. And that doesn't quite look right. See, it's a little bit big. Doesn't say this in your book, but you can go under Select, Transform Selection. It just transforms marching ants. It doesn't transform the picture. Just remember there's a difference. See these little this little pixelated number when you zoom in past 500%? You can get rid of that if you don't want it there. I don't want it there. It's bothering me. So under View, Show, and I just click on Pixel Grid and it goes away. Now I can actually see what I'm doing. I'm going to go back to Select, Transform Selection. We're going to learn actions later. I usually make an action key for Transform Selection since it doesn't have a keyboard shortcut key. So now I brought that down. So now my rectangle fills this area. The first time I did this, it didn't come out perfect, and it doesn't matter. You can go up or down a pixel. So there's my selection, but I need a layer to put it on. Oh, interesting. It says the selection across the bottom, as indicated by the guides, the selection should be 180 pixels wide. Let's see. And there it is, 180 pixels wide. This is where I ran into problems with. They said 32, and in my opinion, on mine, 33 is perfect. So do what you want. If you want to make it 32, make it 32, but you might have to move. We're going to fill this with blue. You might have to move it down a pixel. All you have to do is be in the Move tool here, if you're going to move something, and I'll show you in a minute. And then make sure you're on the correct layer, and you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. So we have to make a new layer, and we're going to rename it Band, and we're going to put it above image 1. So we have to click on image 1. Here's the new layer icon down here at the bottom of the layers panel. Create new layer, layer 13, and now I'm going to call it Band. Over here, if we go Edit Fill, as long as we click, it might be on Content Aware because it seems to default to that. Just go to Color, and it'll bring up your color picker, and the numbers they give us are 25, 72, and 121. I guess they're in there from the last time I did this. I just typed them in. 25, 72, 121. That's the color blue that they want you to make it. And I'm going to click OK, and then OK again, and it's going to fill, and it's going to put it on that empty layer that's named Band. And there you have it. So if I made it 32 like I did the first time I did this, I had a pixel gap down here or up here of 1 pixel. So I just left it up here. Excuse me. I just brought it down so it would be flush with this guide down here rather than the guide I had brought in. It's not going to make a lot of difference. Then go to Select, Deselect. Now see this, we're on the band. I'll show you what I did. Here's my Move tool. Hopefully there's my Move tool. And I'm on the band. And if I'm in the Move tool, I can just move things with the arrow keys on the keyboard, left and right. And this is moving at 1 pixel. And if you want to move it 10 pixels at a time, hold the Shift key when you hit the arrow keys, like so. See that? I'm going to undo. So that's how you can move something like that. So we have dark blue band, and we deselected. Now we're going to type. Now what they say in your book They say align center. They give you the font family, font style. Let's start out with that. I'm going to go to the type tool, and you do get some of that up here, Myriad Pro, and they want regular. They want 18 point, which I've already got in there. They want the anti-aliasing strong. What they want you to do is have it spread out from the center. I am not going to do that. I'm going to show you something else. I think when you start out, I think it's better to type left justified and then center it. I have my reasons for that, but you can start center if you choose. I'm going to start left. They want the type to be white. I have to go back into, that's the properties, that's info. Oh, I need to get the, either you can go under window to get the character panel, or you can click this little icon. And there's the character panel. Characters often gang with paragraph. You don't have to leave it that way. You can customize these. You know that, right? So I'm not going to use paragraph right now, so I'm going to put it in with info. Here's my character panel. The color of the type is already white. So I'm going to get my type tool. I'm going to click here. This makes it all caps. I'm going to type Gallery, Galleryone. And then I'm going to go up here to the check mark. I'm done typing, but they want all caps, it looks like. So you can easily go all caps. You can type it in all caps, but you can also go here to the double T. So you don't have as many choices in the options bar. Plus you can, as long as you're on the type layer, you don't even have to be in the type tool anymore. And watch, I'll click the double T and it'll be all caps. Voila. Now when they wanted it centered, they wanted you to center justify it, but that's not going to necessarily make it centered with the blue band. So this is a trick I want to show you. You can only get it when you're in the move tool. Up here, they're grayed out right now, the alignment tools. You have to, needless to say, have 2 layers selected. So I have gallery 1 and the band because I want them centered with each other. And I go over here, if you hover, align vertical centers, and then over here, align horizontal centers. Now the blue band and the type are aligned. So I like that better. I think it's more accurate. Just a personal choice. In Photoshop, you'll find everybody will tell you a different way to do something, and you'll figure out what's most comfortable for you. Now we're going to add layer styles. There's many ways to do that. We're going to start out with, I believe, image 1. Yeah, so we're going to add a stroke and a drop shadow. There's different ways to bring up the layer style menu or dialog box. Right now we're going to start down here at the bottom of the layers panel. There's a little FX in script. We're going to click that and go to drop shadow. And there's the drop shadow. Make sure it's not covering your image. Make sure you can see. I'm zoomed in quite a bit. I'm zoomed in. See the drop shadow? If I turn it off, on, it's not going to look this pixelated because I'm just zoomed in so far. I'm going to actually zoom out. Let's see. Oh, I can't do it while I'm in here. I'm going to cancel for a minute and zoom out a little bit. Okay, I've got, see the plus inside my zoom? I'm going to make it a minus. Sometimes some people make it a minus up here and they forget to put it back to plus. So if you ever hit the zoom tool and it goes in the opposite direction of what you want, check up here in the options bar. So I'm going to hit option and just zoom out a little bit so we can see a little bit more. Now if I hold down the space bar, it doesn't matter what tool I'm in, I'll temporarily have the hand tool, and I just want to bring this guy down. Now I'm going to go back into the FX, go to drop shadow. There's my drop shadow, and they give us numbers. 27% opacity. Let's see the spread. Oh, distance, 9. Spread is the density of the pixels, the darkness. And size is the softness. I don't know why they call it size, but the spread they want 19, and the size they want 18. And so that's the kind of drop shadow they want you to have. See, it's a real-time preview, which is nice. The other thing they want us to do is add a stroke. Now, if I just click stroke, it's going to give me the default stroke. I want to edit the stroke, though. Right now, we're looking at the editing of the drop shadow. See here, drop shadow? If I click on the word stroke, now I can edit the stroke. I still have my drop shadow because it's checked and I've already edited it. And they want it to be 1. They want it to be positioned inside, but they want the color to be the blue of the band. So that's quite easy because when you click a color chip, it brings up your picker and you can go right. Once you go outside, you get an eyedropper. And I'm just going to click. Notice my new color is the blue that we made for the band. I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to click OK. And now my stroke is the same color as the blue band. Now we want to put all of the layers that have to deal with this button, and that's what this is a button, into a single group. So make sure you select the gallery 1, the band, and image 1. So hold down the command key on the Mac or the control key on the PC. Click band. I've already selected image 1, and so I've got the type selected, the band selected, and the image selected. They're going to do it through the layers panel. I'll do it that way first. You can also do it over here, this flyout menu. But we're going to go to the layers, the drop-down layers panel, and just go group layers. See the keyboard shortcut on the right, Command G, it's Control G on the PC. And there it is, Group 1. And we're going to rename it, so we double-click the name, and we're going to call it Gallery 1. Gallery 1. So there's that first button. When you expand it, notice that these all are shifted slightly to the right, which tells you they're inside this folder. See how that is? So we'll close that. Now, don't forget, we need to start saving this. So save as. Now in the book it says working. Since I don't want like a bazillion things turned in that say working, I want you to put your name on it. You can put L13 if you like for lesson 13 and save it. Go ahead, you can save it into the lesson 13 folder if you choose. But go ahead, I'm going to put like Karen Jossel L13. There you have it. It's a PSD because it's a layered file. Format's Photoshop. Yes, I want it to save the layers and save. So now we have this saved, and every time you save, it'll save over this unless you give it a new name. All right, so we've saved this. I'm going to, if you double click the hand, that tells you you're going to fit on screen. So I have to move a few things over here so I can see what I'm doing. I don't think I need info open anymore, at least not now. I think I still need character open. So rather than do this a million times, we're going to do some duplicating. We're going to do some time savers here. We want to create a new group that's Gallery 2. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do it. They have us starting out down at the bottom of your layers panel. There's something that looks like a tiny file folder, and if you hover over it, it says create a new group. So there's our new group. We're going to name it Gallery 2. We've got nothing in there now. Gallery 2. And we're going to start dragging things in is what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is drag image 2 into Gallery 2. So I'm going to hover over it. Notice it's in there because it's shifted slightly right. So the image for Gallery 2, or button 2, which is this, is now in the folder that says Gallery 2. We're also going to move the band, but we're going to make a copy of it. So I'm going to make a copy, a duplicate. The way they tell us to do it is duplicate layer, and you can just band. I didn't have to retype that. That was not necessary. 2. Okay. And I'm going to put the band 2 inside of Gallery 2, and it's on top of it. I'm going to go to my Move tool. I'm using the keyboard shortcut V. Notice my Move tool is now selected. And I'm going to hover over the blue band, click, hold the Shift key, and drag to the right so that it stays on its horizontal axis. And now we've got the blue band. And then I'm going to go to the type. Now they tell you a different way than I'm going to tell you. They tell you with the type to duplicate it and name it Gallery 2. You don't need to. Once you type Gallery 2, once you change what the type says, watch. I'm going to make a duplicate of Gallery 1. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm going to drag it into our Gallery 2 folder. I'm going to click, hold the Shift key and drag it over here. And now when I go to my type tool to change 1 to 2, watch what happens. TWO. I'm done. Click the check mark. Oh, I didn't spell it right. But that's okay. There we go. Finished. And now I'm, just to be sure, I'm going to highlight the type and the band, holding the command key. They're both highlighted. I'm going to go to the Move tool with the V key, and there I'm going to go align vertical centers and align horizontal centers. So now that's right. Now the one more thing we need are the effects on image 1. So rather than move them, we want to copy them to image 2. So you have to hold the Option key on the Mac or the Control key on the PC. We want to move all the effects, so we're going to click the word effects, not one of the layer styles. So now both of those buttons have the same effects, the same color band, and the same type of type. I'm going to go to the flyout menu, duplicate, group. I'm going to change it to Gallery 3, but it's not really Gallery 3 yet. So I am going to, all right, we're going to duplicate Gallery 2, duplicate group. We're going to call it Gallery 3. In Gallery 3, we're going to get rid of, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring image 3 into here. We're going to move the effects to image 3. Or copy. No, actually you can move because we have a duplicate. I'm going to throw that out. So now we're on here. Now the band hasn't been moved, or the type. So if we move the type, and I'm going to hold the Shift key and hit the arrow keys, and now I have to move the band and shift the type. I'm hold Shift and arrow so it moves in increment. Now I let go of increments of 10. So now the only thing I have to do is change the 2 to a 3, and I'm going to have to realign them. THREE, and then there we go. Highlight the band and the Gallery 3, go to the Move tool, align vertical and align horizontal. And now that one's perfect. Save. Make sure you save. So we've got 3 buttons. Now we want a 4th button. We have one more button to make, and you can use steps 1 through 6 or 7 through 11. I'm going to do it the easy way. I'm going to copy Gallery 3. I'm going to duplicate that, duplicate group. I'm going to say Gallery 4. And I am going to, where's my image 4? I'm going to close this. Here's my image 4. I'm going to drag this in here above image 3. I'm going to move the effects there. We don't need this image 3 because we have it in the other folder. And so now this has the effects on it, the stroke and the, but now we need to call the band. Actually, we didn't change the name of the band. We should change the name of the band. Band 4. Where is it? Gallery 3, did I not? Yeah, just try to keep it straight because you can really get, you notice we're getting more and more layers. Websites are like that. So are big print jobs. I mean, a lot of things. Now we have to move the type over. I'm going to go to the Move tool. I'm in it. Hold the Shift key and I'm just going to drag the type over here, and then I'm going to go to the band, and I'm not doing it by hand because I just don't feel like it, quite frankly. You can do it by hand. I'm going to change the 3. Where's my type tool? Here it is. I'm going to go here. 3, F-O-U-R. I'm going to hit my check mark. I'm done typing. I'm going to highlight the band and gallery 4. Go back to my Move tool, align vertical centers, align horizontal centers. So everything's aligned, beautiful. I'm going to save it. And we've gotten that far. Now we're going to make our own buttons, and we're going to do some more fun stuff. We're going to take a little diversion from this, divert. So make sure you save this and close it. You can close it by hitting the little X. You can go to File, Close. Or you can do Command or Control W. See the keyboard shortcut right there? I have to save it again. So I did something. If I did anything, it's going to ask me to save it. So we're going to record an action. Actions are really, really helpful. It takes a while to get used to making them. So we're going to automate an action also as a batch command. You'll see. Let's start. If you go to File, Browse in Bridge, open the Buttons folder. See those 4 buttons? Those are the 4. You have 4 more buttons to make. But there are things we can do to make our life easier, and we're going to make an action and then automate it so it does it to all the buttons. Okay, the first one I'm going to open is Gallery 5. I'm going to drag it into my Photoshop icon down here in the dock. And there's Gallery 5. I'm going to unlock the background because there's some things I need to do to this that if the background's locked, it won't work. So I just see the little white lock. I'll have to just click it. That's if you're in CC, Photoshop CC. If you're in like Photoshop 6, you might have to double click the layer and rename it. Or we've got Gallery 5. We're going to get a new set and name it Buttons. Oops. Buttons. Okay. Then I'm going to, there's different ways to create a new action. They tell you to hit the little piece of paper like next to the trash can, so that's what we're going to do. But you can also go up here and say new action. So I'm going to go here, new action. And I am going to call it resizing and styling images. Resizing and styling images. And then I'm going to click record. Now here's the beauty of actions. In the old days, they've also been called macros. It used to record how long it took you to do it along with what buttons and things you clicked. This does not. So you can take as long as you want to figure out what you're going to do. So we're resizing this right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to image size. Image at the top, drop down to image size. Now make sure you've unlocked that layer because this won't work if you haven't. And they give us numbers they want. The width, they want it changed to 180. and it changed the height because they were linked together. And we have the resolution 72. Resample is on, and we're going to click OK. So there, that's more of a button size, right? Right. Then we're going to go to Filter up here, the drop down, and we're going to go down here to Sharpen. Oops. Smart Sharpen. Change the amount. Well, the amount's 100%. If yours isn't 100, put 100 in. The radius is 1. Now, I should be zoomed in. It's at 100. Let's just see what happens. The higher you have the amount, the more it detects edges, and at a certain point it becomes pixelated. Now, if you want that look, that's great. If you don't, if you have 100 and you want the radius is small and the reduced noise is at 10, if you look on your book in page 307. So if you turn off preview, see the difference? See, there is something happening. Now that I've made this bigger, you can see what's going on. We're also going to click OK, and now at this point they have you double click the layer and name this button. So I'm just going to do it this way. Name it button. We converted it from a background layer earlier. They would have had us double click it now and rename it. Doesn't matter what way you do it. I could show you how they. Let's go back here before I renamed it. I'll just go back. It's layer 0. I'll show you what they did, and either one's fine. See, it says background and there's the lock. I just clicked the lock earlier. We can just go like this and say button, and it will unlock it and rename it. So you can do it either way. Either way is fine. Now we have to go to canvas size. So we go to image again, this time canvas size. And we're going to change it to 220, 220. 220, tab, 220, and say OK. So notice the canvas size is bigger than the button, which is fine, because that'll leave us room to do what we need to do, and that'll be a transparent. It'll be over the background. So what'll come through in the transparent is the background, and we can do this these days because we have CSS and CSS3 and HTML5, which we're not getting into in this lesson, by the way. What we want to do is go into our layer styles again. This time I'm going to have you bring up the layer styles, double clicking in the blank spot of the layer, going to drop shadow, and it's this to 27%. We're going to change the distance to, not a distance, they want to change the angle to 120. We're going to change the distance to 9, the spread 19, and the size 18. Remember, size is softness. So there's our drop shadow. If you see, there it is. Then there is a nice thing. I mean, you can actually, in the drop shadow, move the drop shadow around. See it? You can move it around. You can just move outside the dialog box and move it around. I'm going to put these back to what the book wants, 120. I think the size is 19. What was the distance that they had? 9. So put it back to 9. But you can move it around by hand. You can make, that kind of decision by hand. They've already got the blue banner and all that stuff, so that's cool. And now we want to go to stroke. And if you recall, okay, we want the same kind of stroke. 1 pixel inside, but of course we want the color that's on the banner. So we click the color chip, move into here with our eyedropper, get the blue color, click OK. Click OK to both of the styles. And now we want to do File, Save As. Make sure the format is Photoshop. Make sure you're in the buttons folder, because Photoshop will remember all of this. And it says gallery5.psd. Perfect. And we're going to save it. And now we're going to stop recording. Two ways you can do it. You can click the square or you can stop recording up here. I'm going to click the square next to the red button and we're no longer recording. So there are all the steps we did to make this action. Now that we've created the action, we're going to apply this action to the other three buttons. I'm going to close this one that we made. I'm going to go over and navigate through Browse and Bridge to the, see here's this one. We need to make gallery 6. I'm going to hold down the command key, 7 and 8. I'm going to hold down the right key on my mouse, open with Photoshop CC 2014, blah, blah, blah. And we've got those three open. Go to File, Automate, Batch. There we go. Here's the set buttons is already there because I just used it. The action is resizing and styling. Now, I found, here's the source folder, and destination they say none. And I believe I had to put a destination in, but I'm going to try it their way this time. And if not, I'll just have to edit it out. We're going to do that, and it should, once I say OK, do it to the other three buttons because it's going to do the batch function to anything that's open. So I'm going to click OK. And there it goes. And now it's done. And I'm going to go back to Browse and Bridge. And lo and behold, look how easy that was. So when you have a lot of things to do, not only does it save you time, and some people might argue it takes time to set up an action, and sometimes it does. It saves your wrist. It saves you work in the long run. So now we're going to move on. I have all the new buttons open. So I have to navigate to our page again so I can add these buttons to the page. So let's open the page, File, Browse and Bridge. Let's go back to Lesson 13. I see the breadcrumbs up here. Here's my version. Since it's a PSD, I can just double click and it'll open right up in Photoshop. And I have to add 5, 6, 7, 8 over here. So let's now that we've made all the buttons, let's go to File and Browse and Bridge. So if we go look in buttons, there are all our new buttons. I'm going to go back, here are the breadcrumbs up here. I'm going to go back to Lesson 13 and open our original template for the website. And there's where the 4 buttons go. We want to load these as embedded. And you'll see they will, because they're loaded as embedded, they'll be smart objects. The first one we're going to load is Gallery 5, Place Embedded, and now it's going to go back to our buttons. We're going to get Gallery 5 and Place. Now put it in the middle. So I'm going to drag it down here and fit it pretty close to there and hit the check mark. If you don't want to use the check mark, you can, I often will just go to the move tool. That's the second way I do this. And I just say place, and it places it. there's another way to do this, and I'll tell you with another button. It looks to me like it's a little low. See, just a tiny bit of blue. You notice the blue and the names are already on there. Sometimes you can, I'm going to go to the Move tool and use the arrow key. There, that looks a little better. Let's see, does it look like it needs to move left? No, no. I think this is closer to what the other ones look like. So now we've got that. Gallery 5 is now a smart object. If you want to take a look over here in the Layers panel. Our Actions panel, I'm going to close right now. I don't even believe I need the Character panel right now. So let's clean up this desktop a little bit, and I'm going to close this too, or minimize it. Now we're going to do this for 6, 7, and 8, and I'll show you. I'm going to go to File, Open. I'm going to go to 6.psd, Gallery 6, Open. Oops, there I did it again. Place Embedded, Gallery 6, Place, and instead of the check mark or the going to the Move tool, this time I'm going to hit the Return key on the keyboard. You can hit Return or Enter. Depends on what platform you're on. And you can also use the extended keyboard Enter. So now you've got Gallery 6. I'm going to go back to Place Embedded. See, it makes it an automatic. We're going to do both of them. No, I want to home. Let's do one. Oops. Okay. And I'm going to move down here. Hit Return. And now make sure I'm in the Move tool, which I am. And I'm going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard. There you go. And I have one more. File, Open. 8. I did it again. File, Open. Place Embedded, because we want it to come in as we can always make it a smart object, but why not have it come in as a smart object? It'll save you time, and if you have a lot of them to do, saving time is a good thing. So there we go. One thing your book reminds us of is make sure these don't end up in any of the existing galleries. I'm going to click on them, all of them, all 4, and drag them below. So they're below Gallery 1. Don't forget to save your work. So I'm going to go Command S. Mine's already saved, but I just Command S or Control S. We have all these layers now. We have groups. We have smart objects. We have regular layers. And now we're going to use the Adobe generator. Rather than save for web the way we used to do it, we have the generator. So let's go ahead and try Gallery 1. And what we're going to do is add, where's Gallery 1? Right here. We're going to change the name, Gallery 1.jpg5, and hit Return. What you're doing is you are telling Photoshop, when you use the generator, that's going to be the settings, the optimization settings for the web, for whatever's in this folder. Let's go over to, and it's going to be 50%, the quality is going to be 50%. That's what the 5 stands for. We're going to rename the wing layer. Here's the new wing. This is just a layer with layer effects on it. Let's take a look at it for a second. It's got a drop shadow. And I believe it's this layer here. I'm going to just check. Yeah, it's that layer there. They want us to rename this new-wing.gif. New-wing.gif. Okay, so now let's go to the logo and rename it. Now notice the logo is a smart object. Rename it logo dot JPEG 5. So that's 3 images we've named or renamed so that we can use the assets generator. When you generate, use the Adobe generator, it doesn't change your Photoshop file. It's going to create a folder with the assets in it. So let's take a look. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is our first attempt at generating assets for the web. We'll go to File, and this time we go to Generate, not Extract Assets, not Automate, but Generate Image Assets. And I believe it must be done. So let's take a look. Let's go into Browse and Bridge, and there it is, Karen Jossel L13 Assets. Let's open it. There are the 3 files that we just did. Now this one doesn't look so good. It's got little black corners on it. Also, some of these images that have white behind them are fine. Some of them need to have transparency. For example, the new wing layer, and that's why we did a GIF, because GIF supports transparency, but so does PNG or Ping 24. So we're going to go back in and change these. We're going to regenerate these. So we can go back to Photoshop, with the boomerang. We haven't done that. Return to Photoshop. There we go. And we're going to up the quality. So we're going to change, let's see here. Gallery 1. Oh, I should have named this Gallery 1. Why did I name it Gallery 2? Gallery 1, and we're going to change it to 10. Doesn't really matter. It's going to regenerate what goes in the assets folder anyway. We're going to change logo to 10. So we're making the quality better, which would be 100%, I believe. And the wing, we're going to make a ping. I didn't say Ping 24. Interesting. New wing. Ping. Oops. Ping does support transparency. Ping 8 is more like, it supports the colors like a GIF, and Ping 24 supports colors like a JPEG. So now we've renamed these, and we're going to do the whole generate thing again. So File, Generate, Image Assets. Yay. And now we're going to go to the bridge, Browse and Bridge. And there they are. And there's the ping. And here are our graphics. We're going to return to Photoshop. Let's boomerang it back. Here we go. And we're going to rename everything so everything gets generated into the assets folder. So I'm going to do that. I'll start with galleries 5 through 8, .jpeg 10. And that's what we should put for all the galleries, by the way. Let's see, what else do they have? I'll do, let's see, okay. Well, I was going to do it like they do cooking shows. They don't make us watch the whole thing, but I'm going to make you watch the whole thing. Oops. I'm going to do JPEG 10. So I'm going to copy this just to cut down my work, the JPEG 10. And then I'm going to Gallery 7, Gallery 8, dot, paste. Gallery 7, dot, paste. Gallery 6, dot, paste. Gallery 5, dot, paste. Gallery 4, now I'm going to retype because it's better if it's all lowercase. Dot, JPEG 10, Gallery 3, It's just good practice. It's not to say it won't work, but when it's good to stay with what are typical practices, because if you get into any kind of coding or you work with somebody who's a coder, you don't want to have things all over the place. So, oh look, it's even telling me it was gallery 2. Thank you, I believe. What was that, 3? Oh boy. Let's see. 1, 2, 4, 5. What's, oh, I have 2 5s. So this must be, well, let's take a look. That's 2, so that's correct. This should be 3. Where I have 5, I made a mistake. 3. So now they're all optimized. We still have a few more. We have the background layer. We have the body text. And what they want us to do with, let's see, they want to rename the logo layer. Here's the logo layer, 10, but we want to follow it. I find this pretty interesting. Follow it. Well, first we put in front of it 300%. So I guess that's one of the versions we want of it. It looks like there's a space there. If you look on page 314, logo dot JPEG 8, which would be 80%, which is pretty high quality, comma, space 100%, space logo, logo.gif. So I guess we put the percentage in front, logo.gif, comma, space, and then 50%. So this is done a little differently because we want multiples of this. This is pretty cool, really. But then space, logo, dot PNG 24. So it's going to generate all of those versions. So once we type it in, so we're going to generate a 300% logo.jpg 8. The percentage is how it's scaled. Then we've got a JPEG at 80%. We've got a GIF at 100% and a ping at 50%. So let's scale at 50%. So the first image is a larger version of the logo that will work for a full, I guess it really won't work for print unless you do it in high res, and you don't do optimize high res. So let's generate. Okay, generate image assets. And now we're going to go to the bridge, browse in bridge. And there are our assets. I know one of them looks really weird, the logo GIF. But you see all the three, we did 3 different logos. Let me move this up. Maybe I can get them all on the same line. Let's see if I move this just in a tad. So that, there, that pops to the next line. Let's see if I make them a little bigger. Will that work? Yeah. Now I've got all 3 logos on the same line. So if we want to see how it's going to look in a web browser, let's make sure we open a web browser. I happen to have one open here. Oops. So there's Firefox. And okay, we're at Browsing Bridge, and here are the 3 different versions of the logo. So if we want to see what it looks like, Go to File. We have to go to the browser, excuse me. We're in Firefox, I believe. Let's go to Firefox. And here we're in Firefox. File. Open File. We're over here. We want to be in Assets. And we want to be in one of the logos. Which logo? I think we want to see the ping first. Oh, it puts it with the black background. So we could plus. It's a little not exactly what I had in mind. Open File. Open New Wing. No, I want the logo, the GIF. There's the GIF. There's the JPEG. There's the ping. See the difference? You don't even have to, when you load it, you get the black background. I'm not really sure how you change that. But this is, if you want to generate different qualities. Now, if this was really tiny, like let's say we open it, and it's going to be that size on the page, it's going to be fine in that quality. It'll be small, it'll load fast. But if it's going to be big, you're going to want to open File and go to the JPEG. Open that, and that's how it's going to look on the page. So if this is going to go across the whole header of the page, you're going to want to go with the JPEG. So that's the beauty of this new system and the generator. You can generate all the different versions at the same time. That's a pretty cool thing.